Okay, I want to welcome everybody to another Ivinex online training webinar. My name is Brett Lund, and I'm going to be the host. And today we're going to be talking about conversion options. This should be a fairly quick webinar today. Conversion options are pretty simple to understand. It's just how you want to use them. I'm going to be going over the tool itself and the different settings and some use cases of how you could use it. A couple quick notes before we get started. This is an interactive webinar where you should have a chat bubble up on your Join Me tool on the top of your screen. If you click that, you should be able to submit questions to me, which I'll do my best to answer or even demonstrate during the webinar. So feel free to do that. During the webinar, the only audio that will be enabled is my own, just to keep down the noise. And that's about it. So I think we're just going to get started here. Okay, so for conversion options, the idea behind it is in Ivinex, you've got a lot of different data modules, and some may contain, for example, on my screen here, I've got leads. You may have a data module containing lead data, but it could really be called anything. And you're looking to, maybe you've got a team of people, sales team. Maybe they're working on the leads, and they go through their process. And they want to then transition the data to some other data module. Conversion options enable that. You can set up kind of what data goes where in the conversion options, and then it's really just a button click to move the data. And I will go over all the settings on that. So what you're seeing here on this is you've got, this box represents some records in a leads module, and then maybe we would want to, convert after a sale. Maybe I'd want to convert that into a contact record, or maybe I want to convert it into an account record. Or the nice thing about it is you're not limited to this or that. You could actually set up different mappings. So one click of a button could take maybe some name information from this record and create a contact. And maybe in this lead record, we've got a company name and, a company phone number or some other information, and it's all contained in here. We could split it. We could split some of the information goes here to the contact, and some of it goes to the account record. And just one button click would do all of that. So that's the idea behind the conversion option tool. A simple way to just move your data from one module to another one or multiple modules. So let's go to the next here. This is just kind of a screenshot of the conversion option settings, and I'll go over this just momentarily, and then we'll just build out some examples. So the idea is that the conversion options, one of the first settings you're going to do is you're going to name the button that you click to enact or execute these conversion options. What happens when I click this button? What is the name of that button? That's the very first setting. Down here, the description doesn't do a lot. You can add a description to remind yourself of exactly what this conversion option does. Maybe your button name is cryptic. Maybe it's just CTC, convert to contact. Maybe that's what the button is named, and you can't remember what that does. The description could, remind you. This field over here, move all links to. In Ivinex, let's say you have, we'll keep going back to that lead type mentality here. We have a leads module, and maybe your log like notes and calendar events and tasks and things, dealing with the process of dealing with that, working with that record. So you may have some links to other, maybe activities or files, whatever you've set up in your system. This option would decide what would happen when I click the convert button. So I convert it, moves the data over. Do the links come with it? Yes. Which module do the links land on? I would assume if I was converting to a contact, I would want to move the links to the contact module. This other one, delete source item, very self-explanatory. Do you want to delete the original record or keep it? The button could simply click it and you would move all the data over and it would delete the original record. That's one option. Of course, the other one is just keep the other one for historical purposes, but you're moving everything over to the new record. And this other setting, after conversion, what happens? When you click the button, it's going to do everything you've set up, and then it can pop up a window containing your new record. That's one option. The other one could be maybe it reloads your window and then loads the record of the one you just created by clicking the button. So there's two different options there. This bottom area contains kind of the mapping. If you've ever done any of the imports or, actually it's probably closest to import. When you import a file, you're going to map some column from your spreadsheet to a field in Ivinex. And that's very similar to what we're doing here. But we're instead picking an existing field in one module and mapping it to another field in another module. So it can be helpful if they're kind of named the same thing, but you're not limited to that in any way. You could say last name goes to a field called, whatever you want. As long as the data types, they should match phone numbers and digit or integers to integers, things like that. So keeping that in mind, that you will want to map similar data to where it lands should be the same data type for best results there. So that's kind of a general idea of this settings window, and I'm going to jump in and we're just going to start building some stuff here. All right. As always, I zoom in a little bit so we can see a little better. Okay, I'm going to jump into the admin tool. What we're going to be doing in this is I've created a new module called leads. Here's a record called Convert Me that I created, and it's kind of a mix of different information. Maybe I've got some, name information, phone numbers, a company name. And then these fields on the side, maybe they represent kind of what you're doing through your sales process. I've also created a couple of example activities so we can demonstrate the link moving as well. And so this is where we're going to be converting from. You'll notice that there's a couple buttons down here that you don't normally see. There's update and delete. I've got another button, convert to contact, and then another one, convert to contact and account. So let's go into the admin and see what we did for that part. Go to the demo leads module here. And your conversion options are up here. Once you've selected your module, in the module details, it's in this top right area. If you don't have anything, it would just say add new. So to add a new one, of course, just click that button, and it's going to bring up that settings window. I'm going to pick this one, which should be already set up. So what I've done is I like to kind of pull it off to the side here so I can see what fields I'm doing. So now that I've actually, let's do it. Let's start off with creating a new one, just so you can see what it looks like with a blank. The first thing you want to do after you've filled out these top settings here is you want to click New Mapping, and it's going to ask you, where are we going to? So I'm going to say, let's just find it down here. So we want to first select our module, and then we're going to, actually I did that backwards. Sorry about that. I want to convert. Actually, that was correct. I'm sorry. Okay, I do want to do leads, of course, and then I'm going to convert it to somewhere else. And no, I've done that backwards. I apologize, guys. I'm in the leads module. I'm sitting here looking at my lead. So the mapping I'm going to set up is going to be the destination module. So no, I don't want to pick the same module that I'm in. I want to pick where it's going to go. So we're going to pick demo contact. Okay. So my lead is going to go to the contact module. Once I've selected the module, I now have available the fields from my lead record. That's what's in this first drop down. So we'll pick, first name. And this second drop down is all the fields in the module I selected up here, where it's going to go to. So this first name is going to go to, here's my contact module. I've got a field there. So we're going to say first name to first name, etc. You could see how you could fill all of that out. So that's just, you would set up all of the fields that you want to move from the lead into the contact module, and it's field by field. So another one would be, maybe title goes to title. Now this red box here, it contains all of the mapping for when I'm moving the data out of the leads to the contact module. So all of my mapping is in this box for that purpose. But you could always also click a new mapping. This just adds a new field to this existing mapping, and a new mapping would be, I want to do two kinds of things when I click that button. Send first name and title to the contact module, and maybe send the company name to an account module. So I'm going to cancel out of that. We're going to open some of these other ones. So to convert to contact, that's very straightforward. It's just a one-to-one. Some of these fields go to my contact module, and I've selected these fields to convert it. I'm not going to delete my source item, and I'm not going to, what should we do? I'm not going to move the links just for now so that I can do this multiple times. And after converting, we're going to pop up the new record. So that's about it. I'm going to click that, come back to here, and we're going to reload this. I'm going to double check to make sure I don't have one of those records in the contact module here. I don't think I do. I don't. Okay, so here's my convert me record, and I'm going to click the convert to contact button. Okay, done. This is my new contact record, and all of my, I've got my mapping data here. You'll see it looks a little bit different. On my contact module, I've got some of the address information right here with the contact, and on my lead one, I've got it over in here. So you'll see that it still mapped it over just fine. I can just click view, takes me to the record, and I can click update. I'm going to go back to here, and we should have a new record. Here's my convert me record. And this record now, forever, will be flagged as being converted from some other module. So that also can power a filter if you'd like. Here's one I've created called converted from leads. I'm going to edit that, see if I did this right. Refresh that. Yeah, okay. I must have something a little bit weird in here in this filter, but the idea is that we have a converted status in your filter, so you can find records that were converted, from somewhere else. Just in case anyone has ever, you haven't used that or didn't know it was there. So that's one thing you can use for finding converted records. Let's see. Let's look at the other settings for converting out to multiple modules. And that would be this one. And we're just going to kind of build on this one a little bit. First, I want to go back and just delete that contact really quick so we can do it again. So, one moment. Delete this record. And so we're good there, and we now have our convert me record still sitting here. And I'm going to double check to make sure that I didn't already create an account. No, we're good. Okay. So back here, I've kind of preset this one up so that I have this first area represents the data that's going to go to the account module, essentially splitting this lead into two records. And then this information is going to go to the contact record. So let's build on that a little bit more. Maybe I want to do some address information. So let's do address. We'll send it to the address of the account module. Let's do city. And state. And maybe zip. Oop. And maybe we'll do one other, and that's phone. That's not the right field. Okay. Must be called something a little bit different. Let me look in here. Account phone. There we go. Okay, so all of these fields are going to go to the account. I'll just add a few other ones in here real quick. Let's see, maybe title. Let's do cell phone and email. Okay, now on the pop-up new record, since I'm splitting the data, you might think that it's going to pop up a couple records, but the default functionality is that when I click the button, it's not going to pop up two records, it'll just pop up one, and it's going to pop up the last one in this list. So it should pop up the contact instead of the account. Or if I have select new record, it should just go to the one on the bottom here. So you can arrange these however you want. If you want, when I click that button and it splits the data, maybe you want to load the account. I'm going to save that, and let's do it. All right, so here's my my record again. I'm going to click this, and it should create split some of the data out to the contact, and it should split some of it to the account. So let's click that. And I got the account instead. Okay, so it must be the first record. Sorry about that. Okay, so it actually links them together. That's the nice thing about it, is because I split the data. I've got in my contact module, I've got a field in there that sets it back to the account. So they stay, even though they're brand new records, they're aware of each other. So that's a strategy you could use to use a button to create two records and then have them be, this is a contact for this account. So there's my two records. And let's just double check the data here. Looks good. And I should have my contact over here, which looks good as well. So the question comes in when we're looking to split the record into multiple modules, and you're not just limited to one, two. You can go to as many as you like. What do we do with those links? Now we only have one choice. So normally you would have kind of a master record that you would maybe the account is more important than the contact. So when you click that button, all of the links that were on my lead end up at the account level. So you'll have to make a choice on that if you're splitting it. But all you do is just select, where does it go, demo account in this case. And that's pretty much all of the settings in this window. One other thing I want to talk about is that, well, first, let me see if I can take any questions about conversion options. It's a very simple tool. It's kind of like you can do the same thing, most of the same thing with workflows and the button field type, but this one is pretty easy to use and easy to set up, and it's very clear as to what's going to happen, and you can come back and change it at any time. Does anybody have any questions about what I've shown you so far? None at all? Okay, great. So let's I think maybe briefly I'll talk about how you could replicate this maybe with a workflow and a button type. But there's a difference. This is a little bit more powerful, I think, because it has the linking, and it's that part's probably the biggest. Is when you convert it over, you have a choice on your linking. But we could do it with a workflow. So let's add a new field. I'm just going to kind of demonstrate, a way to do this. Maybe not using the conversion options, maybe a button type. Just call it button 1. And we're going to make a button field type. And depending on your version of Ivinex, you may have you may see this workflow choice for your button. Now, I haven't made any to do anything for this yet, but if I did, I would have something to pick from. So I'm going to add a button. I'm just going to put it right here. And maybe in the workflow wizard here, we're going to go to make a new group. Demo leads. Open that up. Okay, now I'm going to add a new workflow. Create contact. And for a button workflow, I know this is a bit out of scope of the conversion options, but I just want to briefly show you how you could kind of mirror that functionality. For a button workflow, you want this when a button is pressed, a workflow type. Again, Ivinex version specific. Newer versions should have this. If you're on an older version, you may not. Okay, so we want to, let's see, we're going to trigger it off of leads or so. And maybe I want to create a new record. Let's see, create record. Create a new record. What am I going to create? I'm going to create a new contact record, a demo contact record. And that's when I'd start adding my field, mapping type thing. This would be, a record, or excuse me, this would be, one field maps to another field when I click the button. So for example, cell, we'd use some field syntax to say, set that to the value of this field over here, which would be called, cell. So field cell. Then something along those lines. I just add as many as I wanted. And then when I was all done, I'm not going to save that. I would pick the workflow for my button over here, and right there, save that, and then on the front end, when I clicked it, let's go to leads. I would have this button, I could click it, and it would create, a new contact record based off the data I have here. So that's another way you could mimic this functionality, but it doesn't give you necessarily all the options available. And so I think, unless there's any questions, I'm trying to think of any other use cases. It's really up to you. Moving data from one thing to another I would think that maybe, I'm trying to think, one department to another, maybe if you have multiple methodologies in your system. Move all the links too. I have a question about moving all the links. Yeah, you bet. I will definitely show that. So I'm just going to clean this up and delete this out. Okay, so let's do the convert to contact. And let's move all the links to the contact. That's the question, which is a demonstration of this setting right here. All right, so I'm going to pick the module of where I'm going to move the links to, remembering that I am going to be initiating this from the lead, which already has links. So we'll save that, double check it, that I've got my settings right. Yep. Okay. And then back over here on the leads, I just need to clear out that contact that I made, this one. And while we're at it, let's get rid of that account as well. Okay, so back to leads. Okay, so clicking the Convert to Contact should create the contact record with whatever fields I've mapped, and it should contain the links here. All right, so there's my new contact. I'm going to save that. Let's go over to my contact. And my links for the example calendar event, example task, and example note that were linked to the lead are now linked to my converted contact. So fairly straightforward on that part. Looks like I still got links here, so great. Anyway, are there any other questions about moving the links? I think it's fairly straightforward. We're just replicating that functionality of creating the same links on the new record as I have on my old record. Any other questions about that? New? Okay. Well, like I said, this was going to be a very quick webinar, just going over the conversion options. Hopefully you guys can find a good use for it. If you find some kind of creative way to do it other than what I've been describing, I'd like to hear about it. Standard approach is definitely, a team-based data where you have, sales team and maybe your account manager team. And once the sales team's done with it, we move it over to another area where the sales team doesn't even see that data. They don't interact with it. They're just responsible for this part. And then we move the data and another team of people take it over. So that's about it for this webinar on conversion options. Quickly, I close out all of them with the same information here, which is that we have a training site, training.ivinex.com. I post the webinar information there. There's also a whole bunch of tutorials. There's a tutorial on conversion options there if you want something to read or reference. Leave comments if you want. I do monitor those and will respond. If there's somebody in your company that's not yet receiving the webinar emails, I do have a widget on the bottom right of that training site that you can just put in an email and click submit, and you're on the list. For future webinars, if you like our Facebook page, you should get a feed of Ivinex stuff coming into your Facebook feed. So I do post all webinar events there, and so that you would know when they're coming up if you want to monitor it there. You can also leave comments and let me know if you're attending the event. And so that's about it. Trying to think what's next. Let's see. I just want to thank everybody, for attending. If there's anybody else in your company that you feel could benefit from this, pass it along. I'm going to be doing these webinars, every Wednesday at about the same time. So I want to thank you all for coming, and we'll see you next time.